You're watching the Cowboys Report. We are back with the mailbag. A super thanks from Richard Robinson. This was in reference to the throwback jerseys you can wear now more frequently. He wants the 90s era double star jerseys. He would love to see them wearing those in NFC Championship game beating the 49ers. I appreciate the history involved there, like the allusion to what happened there, the memories, the nostalgia. I didn't love those ones. Those were not my favorite jerseys. I prefer the original throwbacks or even the icy whites that they wear as an alternative now too. That came in via super thanks. It is a feature here on YouTube. It's like a super chat, but it's on demand, not live, right? Click the dollar sign with the heart around it, edit your message, send in whatever, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. From Jonathan Kelly, also a super thanks in reference to the me saying be a chill guy, the Mecca deal will happen. It's the Cowboys being the Cowboys. Says, I can't be a chill guy anymore. Jerry's an idiot. Does this time and time again. He waits and the price goes up, makes our team worse every effing year. I get it. It is frustrating. I'm not saying I'm defeated by them. And I will always call them out for doing the same mistake over and over again. But this one, it'll get done. It's just annoying. It's frustrating that they're doing the exact same thing again, it seems like. From Troy Graybird. Almost sounds dirty. Maybe not. Could he still trade for Trey Hendrickson? Stone says no, and I say no. Stone's our Bengals host, by the way. No one was offering the Bengals what they wanted, which kind of sounds like Hendrickson's camp said, we can get you a first-round pick, and that never came through. And now they're not agreeing to the contract terms, and the Cowboys are not going to pay Micah $40.5+ million, and then give Hendrickson 34, 33, whatever it ends up being. That's just the Neil Hunter trade. I just don't see it as realistic from either party involved there in the end. Now, a trade in general, yeah, that could absolutely happen still, especially day 3 of the draft. How many more trades do you think the Cowboys will end up making? 0 is a valid answer as well. Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. DeLunatic, what positions are we going to double dip at? And Filthy sucks. Appreciate that. I would look at running back as an option still. I think corner is an option. Trenches in general are both options. And dark horse is actually linebacker, where you might want to have 2 new guys as your 4th to 6th linebackers. Chase, I'm moving back in the first round. Take Omarion Hampton in the 2nd. Take tight end Elijah Arroyo. 3rd, take wide receiver Savion Williams with a trade back up. Pick up an extra 2 or 3. It's a little bit rich, not by a lot. It's a little bit rich for me for Williams. I don't think he's going to crack my top 100. Arroyo, I've got kind of in that 2nd, 3rd range, so that's close enough there. I like trading down, though, and getting more assets. You get me a good corner, too, and whether it's Revel or a Morrison or an Amos or Harris or whatever that, I can probably get on board with that. Yeah. Ecuador man, trade down and take Harmon or Nolen in the 1st. I would rather have Derrick Harmon. I think he's better than Walter Nolen is. I think Nolen's flashes are better, but Nolen, for me, is really inconsistent. He had 35 pressures in it. Look, Nolen, I think, is maybe a better pass rusher, although Harmon's pressure rate was actually significantly higher, even if the sacks weren't. I think Harmon is also a better run stopper. Nolen is a 3 technique. If you didn't have Osa Odigizua, we'd be spending a lot more time about Harmon and Nolen, by the way. But Nolen had 2 games of 13 pressures. He had 35 all year long. He had 9 in 2 other games. That's great stuff. He had 6 games with 0 pressure or 1. I don't really know how that's possible. I don't think he sees it well. I don't think he identifies and reacts the way you want an interior defensive lineman to do. Speaking of interior defense lineman, I assume this is about Desmond Watson and not Cam Jackson, the other Florida defensive tackle. That's the 460-something pound or 446, whatever it is, defensive lineman. Day 3, 7th round, why not? Let's ride. It's fun. He's too big. He takes fatties only to the extreme that, like, he can, like, sit and, hunker down, but I just worry that he's too big as it is right now. But in the 7th round, why not? He's just not going to give you anything as a pass rusher. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Springtime is here and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks lineups. Whether it's strikes, RBIs, first inning runs, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash today. You also do football season-long Prize Picks slates. I like the less thans on these 3. I don't think the Lions offense will be as good. Kelsey won't be as involved with Rashee Rice healthy. They're going to run similar route concepts for those 2 guys. Jaden Daniels probably doesn't want to run as much, and the Commanders don't want him to run as much as the 800-plus yards on the ground there. So I like the less than's on all 3. Do the flex play. If you get one wrong, you still cash out. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after that first $5 lineup. YouTube Jay, not mad at it. Great potential to be Dak's successor. This is in reference to Joe Milton. I don't know if he'll actually end up being that. The upside is really intriguing because he's got a howitzer for an arm and great athletic ability, and he's big. The consistency as a passer, as we saw in the preseason and at Tennessee, is simply not there. But I'm treating it as a backup QB, and you got a backup QB for what amounts to a 6th-round value. How can you be mad at that? From Fred, how about a Kyle Pitts trade? Someone always asks about it, don't they? These are not as popular because he hasn't been as productive, by the way. I don't really see it happening. He's owed like the 5th-year options, like 12 or 13 million bucks. That's kind of pricey for a tight end that hasn't lived up to what he did in the first year was great. He hasn't been as good since then, frankly. I don't see a trade for Kyle Pitts happening right now, especially for the Cowboys in particular. Now, if you've got players you want to go trade for, let me know in the comments section. Drop that player name, the trade targets for the Cowboys you'd like to see them add. John A. like the potential of Milton over the candidates in the upcoming draft who likely would have been available at pick 171. Potential only, yeah. It's not a good quarterback class, I'm sorry. I think the only guys that have a better physical-only skill set than Milton is outside of, Cam Ward's not going to be there. I think you're looking at, maybe Jalen Milroe, and that's kind of it. I think someone like a Kyle McCord maybe has a higher floor. I think, a Will Howard, maybe a Tyler Shuck have higher floors than Milton. Because I think Milton is still the inconsistent guy he's always been. He had a great week 18, but everything else has been kind of shaky. I think if you're just looking for upside, if you want to have starting potential and not just higher floor of backup potential, then yeah, I think Milton gives you a lot more than this not great quarterback class does. Now, if you are a Cowboys fan, then you need to subscribe to us here at the Cowboys Report. Multiple videos each and every single day. Free videos all season long. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Stephen Goltz, besides special teams, is there any spot we don't need to draft for? For counting special teams is not drafting, gunners and stuff, then sure, then I agree with that. Maybe it's quarterback now. With the Joe Milton trade. I think that there's someone they love in the fit, they could still take him, just cut Will Grier. Like, that's not an issue. But I think you don't need one. The same way, and I think tight end could also be in that category. You could still draft a tight end, but if you had to walk into next year with the 5 guys on your roster, that's actually fine. That's not a huge problem. Everything else, maybe safety, but even then, like, you'd like to get a draft pick or a UDFA. So I don't think there's any spots that you can't draft a player, if that makes sense. Like, you can still draft tight end, safety, and everything else in between. Casey, does Jalen Tolbert have trade value if the Cowboys draft a wide receiver early? I think some, but probably not enough to justify moving on from right now. Because I think there's, let's say you draft T-Mac or Golden or whoever at 12. There's your number 2. Lamb's your number 1. Who's your 3 now? Is Flournoy ready? Is Mingo ready? Those guys might not be. Can Turpin actually be a legitimate receiver and not just more of a gadgety elite special teamer? I'm not so sure. So I think that is one that could be revisited later. Depending on how the preseason goes. If someone looks great in camp, maybe you could shop Tolbert then. But I think going into camp and everything, they're going to want to keep Tolbert and say, here's another year, and hopefully somebody else emerges as the year goes on as next year's wide receiver 3. We asked about trade targets. How about trade candidates? Name a player who you would like to see the Cowboys trade away. Let me know in the comments of today's show. TKG, when do you see Micah getting paid? I say before the draft. Let's go to the Micah pool after this year, by the way. I think it's around training camp. That's how they do business. I don't like it. I would love if he was just taken care of before the draft. That would be awesome. I don't find it likely that they get it done by then. Even though if they wanted to, if everybody wanted to, it could be done in a day. It could be done like that. Now, if you have predictions, get in on our Micah decision pool. Pick the date that Micah signs or is traded. Head over to chatsports.com/Micah. We'll take you to a Google Sheet. You can see all the entries in there so far. Venmo me at WhatGoingDowney, $5 on Venmo with the date, and I'll get you in the entry. And we'll do a 50-50 split the pot for the winners.